Have you ever wondered what really happens when you turn the key and an engine comes to life? What initiates the process, and how do all the systems work together to start the engine? In today's lesson, we'll demystify the entire engine starting process step by step. Before we dive in, if you enjoy clear and practical automotive explanations, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Below is a clear, technical, and learner-friendly explanation of starter motor components, explaining how each part works independently and how they work together as one system. 1. Purpose of the starter motor. The starter motor is a high-torque electric motor used to rotate the engine crankshaft fast enough to begin combustion. Once the engine starts running on its own, the starter disengages automatically. 2. Main starter motor components. How each works independently. 1. Battery, independent function, stores electrical energy, 12V in most vehicles, supplies high current, 75 to 300 amps, for starting. Without sufficient battery voltage and current, the starter cannot operate. 2. Ignition switch, or start button, independent function, acts as a control switch, sends a low current signal when turned to the start position, tells the system when to crank the engine. 3. Starter relay, independent function, uses a small control current to switch a larger current, protects the ignition switch from high current load, works as an electrical gatekeeper between ignition switch and solenoid. 4. Starter solenoid, an electromagnetic switch, converts electrical energy into linear mechanical movement. 1. Pushes the pinion gear into the flywheel. 2. Closes heavy-duty contacts to send full battery power to the motor. 5. Solenoid plunger, moves forward when solenoid coil is energized, transfers motion to the drive lever, links electrical action to mechanical engagement. 6. Drive lever, shift fork, converts plunger movement into gear engagement, pushes the pinion gear outward, ensures correct gear meshing before motor spins. 7. Pinion gear, starter drive gear, small gear mounted on starter shaft, engages with flywheel ring gear, transfers torque from starter motor to engine. 8. Overrunning clutch, Bendix drive, allows rotation in one direction only, prevents engine from driving the starter motor, protects starter from overspeed damage after engine starts. 9. Armature, rotating core of the motor, produces torque when energized, converts electrical energy into mechanical rotation. 10. Field coils or permanent magnets, create a strong magnetic field inside the motor housing. Key role, works with armature to generate rotational force. 11. Commutator, segmented copper ring on armature, reverses current direction at correct intervals, keeps motor rotating smoothly in one direction. 12. Brushes, carbon blocks that maintain electrical contact, deliver current to the rotating armature, allow current flow while parts are rotating. 13. Starter motor housing, independent function, supports and aligns internal components, dissipates heat, maintains mechanical stability and durability. 3. How starter motor components work together, as a unit, step-by-step operation sequence. 1. Key turn to start, ignition switch sends signal to starter relay. 2. Relay energizes, relay sends power to starter solenoid. 3. Solenoid activates, pulls plunger forward, pushes pinion gear into flywheel, closes high current contacts. 4. Motor receives full battery power, current flows through brushes and armature, magnetic fields interact. 5. Armature rotates, high torque produced at low speed. 4. Why each component must work correctly, weak battery, slow or no cranking, faulty solenoid clicking sound, no crank, worn brushes, intermittent starting, damaged pinion gear grinding noise, bad overrunning clutch, starter spins but engine doesn't crank. 5. Simple one-line summary. The starter motor is an electromechanical system where electrical energy becomes magnetic force becomes mechanical movement, and mechanical movement turns the engine. 4. Why each component must work correctly, weak battery, slow or no cranking, faulty solenoid clicking sound, no crank, worn brushes, intermittent starting, damaged pinion gear grinding noise, bad overrunning clutch, starter spins but engine doesn't crank. 5. Simple one-line summary. The starter motor is an electromechanical system where electrical energy becomes magnetic force becomes mechanical movement, and mechanical movement turns the engine. When the ignition key does not crank the engine, it means the starter motor is not turning the engine. Below are the likely causes and how the system normally works, explained clearly and simply. How the starting system works. Simple flow. 1. You turn the ignition key to start. 2. The battery supplies electrical power. 3. Power passes through safety switches, neutral/clutch switch. 4. The starter relay/solenoid is energized. 5. The starter motor turns the engine, cranking. 6. Engine starts running. If any part fails, the engine will not crank. Common causes why the engine does not crank. 1. Weak or dead battery. Most common. What happens? No power or insufficient power reaches the starter. You may hear nothing, or just a click. Discharged battery, old battery, loose or corroded terminals. 2. Bad battery cables or poor ground. Battery is good, but power cannot flow properly. Loose connections, corrosion on terminals, broken ground strap. 3. Faulty ignition switch. Turning the key sends no signal to the starter system. Worn internal contacts inside the ignition switch. 4. Failed starter relay or starter solenoid. You hear a click, but the engine does not turn. Relay cannot pass high current. Solenoid fails to engage the starter gear. 5. Defective starter motor. Power reaches the starter, but it does not rotate. Worn brushes, burned armature, internal mechanical failure. 6. Neutral safety switch/clutch switch problem. Starter circuit is intentionally blocked. Vehicle not in park or neutral. Automatic. Faulty clutch switch, manual transmission. 7. Blown fuse or wiring fault. Starter circuit is completely dead. Short circuit, damaged wiring, incorrect repair. Summary. 1 line. If the ignition key does not crank the engine, the problem is usually in the battery, wiring, ignition switch, starter relay, or starter motor, preventing electrical power from reaching or operating the starter.
Thank you for watching.